to give you an opportunity to be wise and to learn something from this fool. Because yes, it is true that I've been blessed to accomplish a fair number of things in my life. I am the son of a Greek immigrant, first in my family to graduate with a professional degree going to medical school here at UC San Diego. My passion for healthcare was to actually bring the gift of medicine to the people in our community who need it the most. And I have to tell you, of all the things that I have accomplished in my life, the proudest is that here in San Diego, I have never seen a patient with insurance. And I never will. My whole career, thank you very much. That's not the reason I mentioned. I just want you to have a perspective of where I'm coming from. My whole career has been spent dedicated, taking care of the people in our community that most physicians are hesitant to touch with a 15-foot stethoscope. The homeless, the uninsured, the immigrants, the undesirables of our community, and I have been blessed beyond belief, committing my life serving and providing support to the people who needed it and who otherwise might not be able to get it. I ultimately am striving to be a servant of this community who happens to practice medicine. And it was a few months ago that I was given the opportunity to trade in my stethoscope, because I used to go into an exam room day after day and see one patient at a time. But now, with a new role that I have as the appointed, if you would, consulting chief medical officer of this entire county, I think of all 3.3 million residents as my patients. And for as a blessed and privileged opportunity as it is for me to be able to be serving this community in this capacity, I have to tell you, it has nothing to do with my credentials. It has nothing to do with my education. It has nothing to do with what I have published or what I have done. Folks, the thing that has allowed me the opportunity to serve in this way is as a result of personal transformation. I have the privilege of being a part of regional transformation. And what I've been asked to share a few thoughts with you in closing this evening is, now you've heard from a variety of different perspectives, some concepts, some testimonies, some ideas, some suggestions, that if you were to take to heart, some of those things have an opportunity to make a meaningful impact on your life. But the question that I always am left with is, how is it that we take a concept and make it a reality? I'm sorry, but there is probably nothing that you heard this evening that I would put out of the category of being thoughtful common sense. You do the right thing, the right things will happen. But let me tell you something. Getting others, and most importantly ourselves, to actually do those right things, that's not simple. That takes brilliance. And that is what I am trying to facilitate in the heart of our community and the heart of our region. As part of the introduction, in a sense, you've already heard my secret. Yes, I've been blessed to be serving those who need it the most. Yes, I've had positions of leadership. I have been chairman of the board of the largest hospital district in California, on the faculty of the UC School of Medicine where I went here in La Jolla, medical director of one of the largest charitable not-for-profit organizations in Southern California with hundreds of people working for me. Blah, 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 blah. But in the midst of that, what I was struggling with was the reality of, on a constant daily basis, having to qualify what I was trying to share with other people with those famous words of what? Do as I say, not as I do. And it's very ironic, folks, because if you're honest with yourself and you're trying to have a meaningful impact in the life of another, you will know people will always doubt what you have to say. but they have to believe what you do. And unfortunately, a lot of us spend a lot of time saying one thing and doing another. And you are looking at the poster boy example of a man in health who was a board-certified medical hypocrite. You know, I love traveling. It was mentioned. It was a few years ago that I was traveling in Italy, and I visited the fortress city of Assisi. And it was there that I heard a quote that I have adopted as my life theme, and I don't know if you've heard this before. I am not Catholic, though I am a man of faith, but Saint Francis once said, "Preach the gospel at all times, and when it is necessary, use words." You get that? And let me illustrate, though you've heard the statistics. I brought just one picture to share with you this evening that kind of drives home the point. There is a picture of me in all of my glory, weighing in at nearly 500 pounds. Who's your daddy? Dr. Nick was in the house. And let me tell you something, there was plenty of Dr. Nick to go around for everybody in the community. You might be thinking, my goodness, who would ever want to see a doctor that fat? Certainly no president, right? Well, actually, I was extremely popular in the community. There was a 6-month waiting list to see me when I looked like this. You know why? Because I didn't have any white coat superiority complex. I couldn't even fit into a white lab coat, let alone dog an attitude with my patients. I don't want to be offensive, but I heard you laughed at a little suggestive joke, so I'm going to tell you one here. When you came to see Dr. Nick, you would never get a finger waving in your face. I am a doctor, you might get one somewhere else, but you would never get one waving in your face. Why? Because I was not qualified to have a holier than thou attitude. And ladies, I was facing the consequences of my behavior. A borderline diabetic, high blood pressure, degenerative joint disease, Crisco in my veins with hyperlipidemia, sleep apnea, chronic bronchitis, depression, anxiety, daily dread, a candidate for 7 medications. How many meds do you think I'm taking today? No, not one. And you know what it was that transformed my life? You know what gave me the privilege of all of a sudden rewiring my hardware? Was the fact that I almost lost my life. And ironically, it had absolutely nothing to do with the consequences and the complications of my excess weight. I'm a little bit more qualified than you realize tonight to be speaking at a women's event, okay? Because the testicular cancer that I had brought me halfway to becoming a woman, okay? I had testicular cancer just like Lance Armstrong. That's why my friends are convinced I'm such a sensitive and thoughtful guy, because I'm halfway there, ladies. But having cancer ignited my soul in that all of a sudden, stuck in the mud of my personal life and behavior, I was blessed with the privilege of being able to have an epiphany and to realize that my health, my physical, my emotional, my spiritual, and my relational health, I totally agree with Carol's perspective on that. My health was my most precious and valuable possession. And all of a sudden, I became consumed with a desire to be a health steward, a caretaker, a steward of this precious and miraculous gift. And I don't know how many of you remember the story. I've had much more than my 15 minutes of fame. 9 years ago, this month, I embarked on a life-changing journey because I realized I did not need to go on a diet. What I needed to do was literally change my life.